Hello, this is Kristen Atkins here with Impressing Minds, and today's topic I want to talk about is how do you know how many children you can take in? This continues our foster care series, and so I wanted to explain how you'll know or how you can determine how many children you will be allowed to bring into your home at one time. So, the biggest thing will be how many beds that you have. For example, in another video that I discussed, each child will have to have their own belongings. We utilized different options for them. We had some extra dressers. We actually emptied out some of our kids' drawers so that the top two drawers would be for the older kids maybe, and the bottom two would be for the younger kids or the shorter kids, so they would have access to those drawers. And the options there that you have would be the space. So you would have to have each child their own belongings. They would have to have their own bed. You cannot use a trundle bed. You cannot use a mattress on the floor for these children. You can bunk them in the same rooms. You can put as many bunk beds in a room that's reasonable. Lots of times, I'll be honest, the social worker didn't even go into the bedrooms when they were being placed. Initially, when we were doing our home study, so before we ever got kids that were, placed in our care, they did a home study. And at that point, when they were just checking everything out, they would go through our home and check how many beds do we have, how many dressers or the drawers that were available to the kids. They would check fire extinguishers and fire alarm systems and railings on stairways and just a lot of different things. So at that point, they would determine how many beds were available. And that number of beds and that space that we had available would go on the form. And then that form would be put into, that number on the form would be put into the database. And based on that database, they would know how many children we would be welcoming into our home. So if we wanted, for example, if we wanted 2 children, which is what we did want, we would have to make space through an extra bedroom with 2 bunk beds, an extra bedroom with 2 beds on the floor, 2 twin beds, and a dresser or 2 in that extra room. However we wanted to do it, you would have to make space before you had your home study done. So you would have to determine that kind of before. Now, once you start fostering, we have some loopholes that some people get around, because quite honestly, once they see you're trustworthy individual, they may bend the rules a little bit, but not always. They won't bend the rules as far as like beds go. So if you say I have, four beds and 2 are full, they'll send you 2 more beds, but you can't say I'm going to use a trundle bed for one of the kids. They won't say that. But you could say, well, I'm going to use a trundle bed for one of my kids, and then they could come and they'll say, okay, that'll be fine. Or I'm going to let one of my own kids sleep on the floor, and they can come. And they might say, okay. So it just depends on their need and the desperation of the situation. So that's how they determine and how you would determine. Now that's, on paper, that would be how many you would be able to take. But that's a whole different story compared to how many children you can handle at one time. So if you already have, say, 2 children, I would say the maximum you should take in at one time would be 2 additional children. I just feel like 1 child per 1 new child is a lot to take in, because they most likely have a lot of special needs and they need a lot of attention. So I might do a whole new video on the emotional aspects of taking in more children, and what that would entail. But as far as your physical bringing in the children, however many beds and how much space you have available in your house will determine that. So make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I'm out and about today, and I thought that would be a good quick video where I wouldn't have to plan so much. So like and subscribe for lots more well planned out videos, and have a great day, and put some comments down. What do you think is important when you're bringing children into the home? What do you think is important? Let me know.